Hey guys, welcome to the School of Hard Knocks. I'm Darcie Burtch, your podcast host. This is a place where we come to get unstuck from trauma and stuck in healing. And this is our very first episode recorded live inside of the little studio. So how exciting is that? Today our guest is my little sister Shonda. In her 33 years of life, she has gone through some really interesting things that she has successfully been able to make it through. So one of those things that we are going to talk about today is toxic relationships, and how Shonda has been able to successfully get herself out of one. So welcome to the School of Hard Knocks.
Thank you.
So
beautiful. I love it.
Thank you. We're excited about it. So, before we get started with any questions, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell them. I know all about you.
I know.
But tell them a little about yourself.
I'm Shonda. I'm Darcie's little sister. I'm 33 years old. I have 3 kids. I was a teen mom. Went through a lot of crap. Been in a couple toxic relationships, but made it out.
Successfully. Made it out successfully.
Yes.
It took a couple tries.
Yes, it did.
But she did it.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you share a little bit about what your life looked like before you left the relationship?
So before I left the relationship, it was very walking on eggshells all the time. It was just being very hyper aware. I kind of got to the point where I didn't really ever have any original thoughts. It was just say what you need to say to keep the peace type of thing. It was a lot of yelling, breaking things, my things being destroyed, just a whirlwind every day.
How long did that go on for?
3 or 4 years.
And did it start out like this?
It didn't start that way, but when I first got with this person, I'm not even going to say their name, it'll be a whole thing, but...
I mean, we can come up with names to, like, place in there.
Yeah. Use your imagination. So this person, I did date in high school for a little bit, and he went off to a challenge academy. I met my son's dad, dated him, and that was a thing, but... So when I first got back with him again, he was really good. He was really nice. I ended up getting pregnant 2 months into the relationship because he lied to me and told me he was sterile. He's like, oh, me and my ex tried for the longest time to get pregnant. Couldn't do it. I went to the doctor, found out I was sterile. So I took my birth control out because it was messing with my monthly cycle anyway. So I took it out, and 2 months later I was pregnant.
Wow.
And it immediately started from there. It started with punching holes in the wall, slamming doors, breaking my things, a lot of controlling type of things. I didn't have much access over my own phone. He told me it made more sense for him to have a job because he could make more money at his job than my job, and he'd just pay all the bills. He didn't have a car or anything. So then it just basically started slowly taking my freedom away.
Yeah. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Well, what was the turning point the moment you realized you could not stay any longer?
It was the day that I left. I'm gonna cry.
It's okay.
I woke up that morning. My son was 7, I think.
Wow.
And the asshole was mad that he couldn't find his work boots, and he kicked a hole in the door in the kitchen, and he ripped open a bag of garbage and dumped it all on the kitchen floor, and dumped it all over my car, and my son sat on the couch and watched. And right after that, we walked outside. I cleaned the garbage off my car, and I dropped him off at school, and I went back and grabbed a couple little things and just left. I even left my cat.
I remember specifically getting the phone call from you that day that he had thrown trash all over inside of your car.
And the whole outside, just ripped the whole bag open, dumped it all on my car. And what's crazy is it didn't even stop after leaving. He followed me to places that I went, would knock on people's doors. He dumped sugar in my gas tank.
do remember that too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. What were some of the biggest challenges or fears that kept you in the relationship longer than what you wanted to be?
Having to, like, since everything was taken away from me, it's learning how to, like, get back out corporate America, work a job, like, pay bills by myself, which he wasn't good at paying bills anyways. We were always behind on everything. But the biggest thing was knowing that if we weren't together, he was going to have time with our daughter alone.
Yeah.
And that I couldn't make sure that, like, she was safe or okay.
Yeah, because how old was she when you left? Almost 3?
Almost 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the hardest part. I felt in my head, I convinced myself for a while it was better for me to stay to make sure that, like, she was safe, but in that, like, it was putting my son through trauma, having to repeatedly deal with everything, and he got to a point where he was, like, numb to it, and he would just, like, go to his room and sit in there or something and really wouldn't say anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the interesting thing, is because so many people stay in toxic relationships because of that exact fear. Like Amy, you guys will be able to see part of the interview with Amy, or maybe you already have. But that was, she said, one of her hardest things about actually finally leaving the relationship is having to tell her kids that they were leaving their dad. So a lot of people stay. I mean, I've heard that a lot of times. I don't want my children to have a broken relationship, that, you know, those kind of things. And I grew up in a household with, you know, trauma and abuse, and Shonda was really small, so she doesn't remember, like, that part of life, but I lived that for 16 years, so I would have rather have had my parents split than see the things and witness the things. But when you're actually in it, it is like such a real fear. It's such a real fear thinking about that in particular.
Yeah.
He's gonna have my daughter alone.
And it was like, because for her, she was so young, she didn't see him as, like, a bad person. And even one time I had left him, got back, left him, went back, and one time when I went back, he lived in a trailer, and we were together for maybe like a week, and he got mad about something. He locked me out and was telling her, "Don't let mommy in, she's a bad person." And it's like, she doesn't know. She's like 2, almost 3 years old, so she didn't know.
Right.
And I mean, he would tell her horrible things, like if things didn't go his way, like, "Oh, mommy doesn't want to see you right now. She doesn't want to be your mom anymore." Just like all this crazy stuff. And it's like, you never want to tell your kids bad things about their other parent. But I mean, he always came up with these crazy stories in his head, even now to this day, as to why we had separated. And she still asks me, "Why did you and dad separate?" I'm like, "That's a story for when you're older. We're not going to talk about that right now."
Because how old is your daughter now?
She is 10.
10.
Yeah.
And how has she dealt with the separation of you and her dad and not having you two together?
She used to be really upset about it and write, like, in a notebook saying that, like, she wishes we were still together so that she could be with us all the time and stuff like that. But as she's gotten older and she's been exposed to more of what he's like, she's gotten more, like, she understands.
Yeah.
She understands why things happened the way that she did, because it's like, "I'm sorry, sweetie, but your dad's always been like that. It's not anything that's new." But it's also sad that I don't even know if I told you this. It was really sad, and I know it might make you mad.
Oh no. Oh no.
When I was explaining to her about, like, what her dad's doing isn't okay, it almost seemed like he was getting her accustomed to stuff like that. And I told her, "I'm worried about your time you're spending over there and being around that, because I don't want you growing up and thinking that it's okay to be with that kind of person. It's okay for them to do those things." And she's like, "It's okay, Mom, because when I get older, I'm just going to be used to it. It won't bother me anymore." And that was so sad.
Yeah, but the thing is she's still so young.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that I had my first, I always knew what was happening in our household was wrong.
Yeah.
But I told this when I was talking to some of my followers the other day. I had a boyfriend at 13 years old. And Mom thought I was going to marry him. She loved this boy. But we used to be neighbors. And then we moved like at least 5 miles away. And he would bike all the way from where he lived in Schofield all the way to where we lived on 10th Street.
That's crazy.
So and he was 13 years old. And he would tell me all the time that I was beautiful. All the time. And it gave me like this sick feeling. like somebody was saying something derogatory towards me. Like, it would literally make me feel like I was going to throw up.
Just like cringy.
Like, oh God, stop saying that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I remember him saying, why would I stop saying that to you though? You are, you know, and I was like, okay, just don't say it. And then I took it to my mom and I was like, hey, you know, so-and-so keeps saying this to me and it's making me feel like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And she said, well, you're uncomfortable because you don't hear your dad say that to me. And that's actually how a boy is supposed to treat a girl. So at 13 years old, it really started to dawn on me, like, something really is not right.
Yeah.
So I don't think your daughter is going to have, I think is how she feels now because she's still so impressionable. But she's very strong-willed.
Oh, yeah.
And I really don't allow her seeing anybody not getting throat punched.
No.
This last Easter, she was trying to show us all of the wrestling moves that she knows. I was like, nobody better mess with that girl because she's tough.
She is tough.
She's great. She's awesome. Well, who or what helped give you the strength to finally leave?
You did.
Me?
Yeah. Because you're like all I've ever had. It's like, you know, I love Mom, but it wasn't ever like I would call Mom and be like, hey, like, I need to get out. Like, I remember one morning I called her and he had thrown hot chocolate in my face. And it was like 3 a.m. And I called Mom and I was like bawling. And she's like, I'm gonna call the cops. And she was so mad, but it would never get to the point where she was like, this is it, you're leaving, you're coming to stay with me. Like, staying with her was never an option. Until like after our stepdad had passed away and she was living by herself in her house, then me and the kids went and lived with her. But before that, it was always like, shoulder shrug.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or just like, oh, that sucks. I'm gonna call the cops or whatever. It's like you call the cops and then I go where though? With 2 kids now.
Right. I know, that's scary.
Yeah.
Wow. I love you dearly.
I love you too.
You know that.
I know.
And I will be here for you for the rest of your life, for the rest of my life. And I remember going through it with you and how badly that I had considered wearing orange would have been worth it.
Yeah.
Because it was very hard. It was very frustrating. And it's so interesting because for people who are stuck in these situations, you're seeing them as you know them and how you love them. And no matter what you tell them, I mean, Shonda's brilliant. Shonda has come through so much stuff. And what do you do now in your life?
Certified medical assistant at a dermatology clinic.
Exactly. And she was so hindered for so long to be able to find her greatness and literally had to start over multiple times. She did live with Eric and I when her son was very small.
Yeah.
It was very interesting because having a little one like that around again. I remember one night, I could hear Shonda downstairs crying. And I thought, what is happening? And I go downstairs and you were on the phone with Mom. And Carter was like uncontrollably screaming, and you had that moment where you were like, I can't figure it out. I burped him, I've changed him, I fed him, I rocked him, I sang to him, I did the twinkle star, what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, honey, just come here, like, wake me up when this is happening. You don't have to call Mom. It's like 1 a.m. I'm like, just give them to me, because sometimes you just need that break.
Yeah.
You just need that, like, release. But when you don't have, like, people there that are able to help you, it makes it that much harder. So if you know somebody who's going through something like that, let them know. Don't just assume, oh, well, she knows that I would be there for her, because not everybody truly knows that. And be there for them during the trial. I don't like the fact there's somebody very, very dear to me that has been in a toxic relationship for about a decade. And it's this big ebb and flow. And I love this person with every single fiber of my being. And it kills me inside, literally rips my whole entire soul out. But I'm not going to stop being there for her. because eventually it's going to happen.
And that's the big thing, is especially when somebody is in a situation like that, they're not going to ask for help, because it's a big chance. Like, obviously the person they're with is a narcissist, and they've already been made to feel like a burden.
Yeah.
And they don't want to feel like a burden to anybody else, so they feel like they're just stuck with it. That person makes them feel like nobody wants them, nobody wants to deal with them. And they make them feel like their feelings aren't valid, so they're like, I'm upset about this for no reason, why am I going to call somebody when, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of humiliation that goes with it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that this was happening for a little while. I definitely did not know at all it was happening with your son's dad.
Yeah.
Because that guy would have had a rearranged life.
Yeah. And I mean, his was, he didn't really break things so much. He had one instance where I think Carter was like 2. And he was mad about, I don't know what, but we lived in a duplex and we had steps that went upstairs. And he just started throwing stuff around. He ripped all the cushions off the couch and threw them. And I was hiding behind the banister with him. And I ran out the front door and ran down the street. And he chased me. And he took him from me. And he ran back to the apartment.
Well, and you were like 17.
Yeah.
And we're talking, like, Shonda's 33 years old and, like, gets carted for lunch money.
Yes, literally. I got carted to go swimming at the pool.
I'm saying, so at 17 years old, for real, she looked 12 at best. You had just posted that photo of you and Carter when he was a baby, and it looked like a little sister laying next to her little brother.
Yeah.
So she was, like, very small.
Oh, yeah.
And timid and scared of everything, and her upbringing was different than my upbringing because she was raised by different people, but she's always been raised in a state of fear and on support.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're in that situation, and a man or a woman can do it, where, you know, a woman can come into a relationship and be something she's totally not.
Yeah.
And then unleash who she truly is. So this isn't just men bashing. Women can seriously rope a man in and be like, oh, she's wife material and I want to introduce her to my mom. And then you do it, it's like, whoa, what just happened here?
Yep.
You know, so anybody can get their hooks into you, but when you don't have even a little bit of knowledge or any support, you know, you just get stuck.
And then in growing up in a way where you did grow up with fear, and like I always tell Carter, in our house, like when me and the other sister moved back with mom and we lived in the house together in Merrill, it's like we just coexisted.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk. We coexisted in the same house, and that relationship wasn't healthy either that we were witnessing in the house. So it was like getting with Carter's dad, it started so different. It started with, like, he would give me a pair of his sweatpants to wear in a sweatshirt, and I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
And then it turned into he was picking my clothes out every day, and every day was a pair of his sweatpants and his sweatshirt. I was not allowed to wear makeup. He made me take all my piercings out. I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody. If I was on the phone with anybody, mom, whoever, he had to be it was on the landline phone at the house. He had to be on the other phone with it muted, listening to make sure I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And then I remember that one time he choked me. And I told mom, you remember what she said?
No.
Something along the lines of, like, something about him not hitting me or something like that. Like, at least he just choked me type of thing. And it was like it was nothing.
Man, I really wish you would have told me.
I know.
Because that would have been the reaction.
I know.
At all. It's just, that's the thing when I'm talking to different people now going through this stuff. It's so crazy the things that people go through and suffer in silence. And just suffer in silence. It's not like Shonda and I weren't seeing each other. I was seeing Shonda all the time. I was apart. There was no visible marks on her. She was never shaken. She never seemed, I mean, the sweatpants and sweater thing, I thought, well, she's a new mom. She don't care. I'm not going to come over here and be like, why aren't you wearing skinny jeans and a crop top? I mean, she's 17 and just had a baby. Her hair would be a mess sometimes. The baby's screaming. She's trying to figure out feeding. You know, like, you don't insult somebody like that, but not knowing.
Yeah.
You know, I remember after all of this was done, you were telling me a little bit about this, and you said one time when you guys were driving,
Oh, yeah.
And you looked out the window.
Oh, yep, yeah. I couldn't even, like, lift my head up and look. It's like you have to stay looking down. If you're driving past a car, I knew, like, look down, because if I looked out there, I was checking somebody out. Who am I looking at? I'm a slut. I'm this, I'm that. Like, even, I think I was, like, 6 months pregnant with Carter, and I was having bad stomach pains, and we drove to the Merrill ER, and this male doctor checked me, and the whole way home, he called me a slut, a whore, said that I liked it. Like, all this crazy stuff.
It is crazy. I mean, I remember when I was a kid and my mom would get pregnant, my dad would get so mad as she would go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is such a huge insecurity thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, a real man or a confident woman is not going to be checking phones.
Well, exactly.
Is not going to worry if you're, I mean, Eric and I share a doctor and she's female, and they come home like, so, did she make you drop your drawers? Like, where does that come from? And, you know, like, I wonder that, like, were any of your ex's parents, fathers in particular, that way to their mothers, to where do you think it maybe came from?
For Carter's dad, I think it was more of like a possessive type of thing, and then it turned into, he understood and he knew in his own head what kind of person he was, and what kind of person he was being, and he knew it wasn't okay, and he was scared for me to step outside of that and find something that was normal. It wasn't like that. And it was kind of the same with Cadence's dad. Is, I mean, his dad's just like him. Yeah. And that's where he gets it from. I mean, when we lived together with his parents in Tomahawk, I remember when his mom would pull up at the house and their little dogs would start barking, he'd be like, oh yeah, the bitch is home. Call her a bitch, call her a cunt right in front of her. And then she would just laugh. Like, they'll get over it. Like, what do you mean they'll get over it? Like, they just called you a name. They gotta, like, wait for you to get over it.
Right.
But I know that's also, like, where Cadence's dad got it from, is, like, because his dad would break things and stuff like that. But it's always, like, when you become an adult, you have a decision to break that cycle, to do something different. Like, when you're a child, you're kind of stuck in your situation at that point in time. I mean, even these days, CPS doesn't do much. They really don't. They leave kids in bad situations until it's too late, and it's like, oh, I guess we dropped the ball. Yeah. It's like, you know, lucky it never got to that point with us, even though mom said, like, yeah, before we all got given away, she's like, it got close to, like, CPS coming and taking you guys.
CPS, I came several times when we were a kid.
I'm sure.
I actually even remember the guy's name. I'm sure he's not alive anymore, but his name was Mr. Drangler. From social services that would come over. I remember him. I mean, so that means he was there more than once, you know, and I remember that type of thing. And it's interesting because I've talked about this before, that my dad's parents, our dad's parents, we don't call them our grandparents. It's Virginia and John, because they were never grandparents. But they had the same cycle where they would beat our dad and call him out his name. You know, my mom has even though my mom doesn't really care for my dad too much, she's not a liar, but she would say that Virginia would say things to our dad, like, or to my mom, like, why are you dating this ugly POS? You know, he's this, he's that, all of that stuff. And it doesn't give a reason for why dad was the way he was, or why your exes were the way that they were, but it gives insight into who's able to break the cycle, who is able to break that generational curse. So Shonda is number 8 out of 9, and 8 out of 9 of our siblings are very well adjusted, productive parts of society. I don't even know if half of these children, any of my nieces and nephews, even know what it's like to be spanked. And if they were spanked, it was for something they should have been spanked for. Sticking a finger in an outlet, running into the road, choking a cat. I mean, you know, things like that. We were, like, abused as children for coughing, or for walking through argument or something that was happening, you know, like, Shonda and I were just at her son's football game last night, And it was cold. It was cold. But I wasn't going to make her sit there by herself, even though I didn't realize he had half the school there supporting him, is what it felt like.
Seriously.
I mean, now the co-parenting with her and her son's father is fantastic.
Yep.
I mean, they sat there,